Yes. So, welcome to the wonderful um, session on past life regression therapy. This is one which is very exciting. It's a very exciting topic for me. I first got familiar with it about almost 24 years or 25 years back. And I have been reading up on it. Of course, I've been training on it, and I got into it full time pretty recently because I felt people are ready for it in different parts of the world now. So, just before we get on to what we are going to talk about today, I'll just give a small introduction for those of you who may not know me or know me enough. I am the owner and founder of Towering by Bhavna, and I have had a previous avatar like many of us. I've done my MBA in human resources where I was working in the corporate world for over 18 years. And currently, and I love reading and pursuing further studies. So I'm doing some very interesting courses in psychology and intuitive sciences. I've also been trained and certified, of course, in past life regression therapy that we're talking about today. I've done various different levels in that. And I am also a neurolinguistic programming practitioner. And I've been trained in transactional analysis, acupressure, ADHD, specialization, and a couple of other works. Now, I haven't mentioned everything here because if you see the kind area of work and my modalities, I have over the years developed modalities of my own where the focus is really on the issue of the person, and it's not necessarily on what modality I might use because there's always a mix of modalities. So, a lot of my work, yes, is in trauma and relationships. It is about manifestation. It is about releasing karmic pattern and meditation. Breathwork, of course, Claire is part of the breathwork series that I'm currently doing. And recently, finally, I have also started doing a lot of work about healing the feminine wounds and healing the feminine and masculine relationships. So I won't go into detail of that because that's a huge topic and it might sound new to you because people are beginning to talk about it. But if you want, I can, we can definitely catch up one on one. And moving into our session for today. So I want to start with this quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Some of you might be familiar with his work. I love some of the work that he's done. So he says that allow yourself the luxury of believing in the divinity of your own soul. And the reason why I say this is each of us are really a soul in a human body. I have always believed that ever since I was a child, and my experiences in life and what I saw of experiences of others actually reaffirmed this faith that I had that all of us are really the soul. I didn't know the word soul, of course, but I could sense that we are much more than the human form. And each one of us is infinitely divine, and I will talk about that a little bit more as we move on, because past life regression therapy is such a powerful therapy that it can really tell you that how amazing and immense potential that each one of us has, and we can literally do anything where if we put our mind to it. So we know how where the phrase comes from. Okay. So one question: do past lives exist? Well, they do. And as I just remembered, in case there are questions, just put them in the chat box. I will look at them later on. And because I'm recording, I will look at the questions towards the end. So I will also, whatever your take was or is on whether past lives exist, let's see if we can modify that also, even if you believe in that. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to also talk about the origins of past life regression practice. Some of you might again have heard of these or read about them. So there have been the Greek and Egyptian references in the ancient books where they talked about various lifetimes or life forms that their gods have had. They may not call it past lives, that but they would refer to it either in a in a previous incarnation, or in a previous life that they've led as a human form or other forms. There are, of course, a lot of references in Buddhist scriptures and also the Jain scriptures, which is mostly found in the Indian subcontinent, that the religion is found in the Indian subcontinent. And Sigmund Freud, I'm sure you have heard of him. So, Dr. Sigmund Freud was a very well known psychiatrist and then psychologist. He did a lot of work in this field, and he's also called, of course, the father of modern psychology. But most importantly, he's also the grandfather of the present day regression work. He had introduced the concept of the subconscious, sorry, the unconscious and the conscious mind. So, what we call, of course, nowadays, we interchange the words unconscious and subconscious. But what he essentially said was, there is a part of our brain that is the conscious part where, for example, I know how to ride a bicycle, I know how to interpret, I can do mathematical calculations, I know how to, cook food. So those are all in my conscious mind that I use perhaps on an everyday basis, or even if it's in some of it, for example, I may not ride a bicycle every day, but I do, whenever I do, I will remember it because it's in my conscious part of my brain. Now, the unconscious part or the subconscious part are hidden memories that might be there. And there has always been a debate, and there are different schools of thought in psychology where some says that there isn't anything like unconscious, because if you're unconscious, then you will probably be dead. And or there are the unconscious part of the brain, you wouldn't really know because that doesn't exist, right? So that's why some of the psychologists started calling it subconscious, which means that when we get into a deeper state of relaxation, where the brain waves are slowing down, which essentially means that our thoughts, the speed of our thoughts is slowing down, we access memories which are deeply stored in our brain. And when we do that, that we are accessing the subconscious part of our brain, or a part of the brain that we usually don't often use. And then, so when Freud introduced this, he, even though he called it unconscious and conscious mind, and the id, and the id, ego, and superego, it was a revolutionary introduction into psychology, because nobody before that really understood so much about how the brain functions. And so he really created a flurry of different, lot of his students, Carl Jung is, of course, very famous because he took a very different take on psychology. So all of them became very famous and very important psychologists in their own work. And recently, of course, we have a lot of psychiatrists, clinical psychologists, Dr. Brian Weiss. Many of you would have heard or read his book, Many Lives, Many Masters, Only Love is Real, and many more. And Dr. Michael Newton is another one. Dr. Michael Newton has done a lot of work on life between life. So, what happens to the soul between two lives? Does it where does it vanish? What is it thinking? What is it doing? So he has a lot of medical records that he's kept, and a lot of studies that he's done on life between life, and that is again a huge different topic. Maybe I'll do a webinar about it sometime later. Dr. Ian Stevenson is very, very renowned in his work with children. A lot of, I think there is, I'm forgetting the name of the institute that he runs. He's of course no more, but a lot of his work is also done in India, in Europe, and different parts of the world. And Dr. Ian Stevenson he did a lot of major studies in how children recalled their past lives. And it is very common for children, in fact, especially below the age of 9 or 10, to recall past lives. And some of you might have read stories or news items where a child was 4, 5 years old or 8 years old and they recall. And um, I could have talked about it in this, but I do want to use that time for experience. So we will, I can refer those to you later. And also, okay, according to a lot of past life regression therapists, many mental health issues that patients experience may have their origins in traumatic experiences in their past lives. And I will talk about this a little more during my work with my clients. And also, there are, of course, anxiety disorders, mood disorders, gender dysphoria. So, the confusion with what gender you are have all been treated using life regression therapy. And one of the examples that I can share, I remember as when I was growing up, I had, for the longest time, I really felt um, in, being a male or having a lot of male energy. Now that male energy was not a strong powerful or putting others down, that kind of negative energy. But I always felt as if I have enough courage. I never felt I was growing up in India, being a girl, you're told a lot of things that you can't do and you can't be and whatever. But I never thought of myself as a girl. And there was this major thing of being a man. And uh, and it i once I saw one of my lifetimes, my previous lifetime before this, I was a man. And there's a story that I know, that and so I know that that's the reason why I still felt it. Now that doesn't happen with everybody, but I'm just giving you a small example of how people can feel that. And some of them can, of course, go through extreme confusion about their gender as well. Okay, so how many of you are ready for an experience?
Can't wait. Totally ready.
Sorry?
Totally up for it.
Totally up for it. Wow. And I know Priya is up for it too.
I am. Do I need to dim the lights or something?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
You would be able to go in deep. So I'll just give you the instructions.
So
I want to
before
make
we get started with this experience, can I ask you something?
uh, I'm recording this. So if it's okay, if it's not concerning the experience per se, if you can wait till the end.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to guide you through this. And let's make sure you have some water next to you. And wherever you are, just make sure you're comfortably seated. And I want you to close down your eyes now. And let's just take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in and let it out. And just settle back. And once again, let's take a deep breath in and breathe out through your mouth with an audible sigh. And keeping your eyes closed, what I would like you to do now is to connect to your breath and just feel the air as you breathe in and you breathe out. And as you feel your breath, just staying connected with that feeling in your heart. Feel your chest expand and go down as you breathe. We are going to go on a journey now into our childhood, continuing to breathe in and focusing on your breath and the beautiful beating heart. We will go back to a state and a scene in a childhood when you were 4, 5, or 6 years old, around that age. As I count down from 10 to 1, you would come to that particular scene. The scene will be the one that really brought you a lot of happiness. And you'll be able to remember that scene very clearly, even though you may not be aware of it right now. You'll be able to see it very clearly. 10, 9, relaxing your body, relaxing from the top of your head, your eyes and your eyebrows, going deeper and deeper into a state of relaxation. On 7, and as you relax further, you seem to melt into the seat and the chair where you're seated, letting your neck relax. If you feel desire to just put your head back, you can do that now, relaxing your back and your neck. On 6 and 5, as if you are floating on a cloud, just moving into the softness of the cloud. On 5, 4, going deeper and deeper, even deeper. And 4, as you relax your shoulders and your arms, as you go deeper, you relax your chest, letting your arms rest on the side. On 3, relaxing your stomach muscles and your pelvis, and your upper body is completely relaxed on the cloud, merging into the softness of the cloud. As you go deeper with 3 and 2, your muscles in your legs are completely relaxed. You feel light in your thighs and your legs. And on 1, your feet are completely relaxed as you are floating on that cloud, fully, completely relaxed. As you float down on 0, a scene begins to emerge. The scene of your childhood when you were about 5 years old. That scene that you had forgotten of the best day of your life when you were the happiest as a child. That 5-year-old was so happy. Observe what happens in the scene. Observe yourself. Look around and see what's there. Are you outside or are you in a room? Is it your house or a different place? Observe the minutest detail. Maybe you might even see a calendar on the wall or the clock. Notice if your parents are around or any friends or siblings. Is it a special event? Just immersing into that scene completely. Feel into that emotion when you were the happiest as a 5-year-old. You felt it was the happiest moment of your life. And as you do that, I want you to just smile at the 5-year-old. You are the 5-year-old, just smiling with all that joy and happiness. Just feel the joy. As we come back, slowly, whatever you need to take from that memory, you take it with you, and it will stay with you even when you come back to the room. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and letting it out through the mouth. And as you come back, slowly, on the count of 1 down to 5, 1, 2, bringing gentle movement to your hands and your feet. 3, you're becoming conscious of the room that you are in. 4, bringing more movement to your body. being connected to your breath. And 5, coming back completely into the seat where you are. Notice how you feel and just gently opening your eyes. Okay, so moving on. So I want to share some misconceptions of past life regression very quickly. Uh, One, of course, the big question is if whether we've really had past lives, and if we did, we would remember them. Now, I want you to just think about this: that in the last, let's say, if you are 40 or let's say 40 years old, right? And it doesn't matter what your age you are right now, but just for the example, you're 40 years old and you've had to mean, which means you have 40 years, and you can imagine how many hours and minutes you would have had. Now, do you remember each and every minute, even if not minute, do you remember each and every hour of those 40 years what you've done? If I ask you to recall, what did you do at 4 o'clock on 27th January 1985? You perhaps won't remember, right? So it is not necessary that we will remember all of them, but yes, we do remember the significant ones. Now, the significant ones would be where strong emotions were involved, both negative and positive. Okay. Now, the other one is that only the present life is relevant and the past lives are not relevant to the present life. Now, to this, I want to just share that just like you looked at the age regression. Now, what happens is, why was that event significant? You normally, if one were to ask you what was the happiest moment of your childhood, we may not recall, right? But when we go to a deeper, relaxed state, it comes up and it might be a surprise. But when you recall it and you say, yeah, perhaps because it was really the first time something happened, or the first time I really worked hard and I came first in my entire school or my class or something like that. And so what that does is there is a relevance to it in the current life. You, just like I mentioned, we only capture the important episodes and the important instances in our subconscious. That's where it is stored, and it'll come to us because there might be something we need to learn from it. For a positive memory, it could be, are you appreciating yourself enough? Are you has it off late, have you felt that you are not appreciated no matter what you do? Has it happened that off late you haven't felt, you have forgotten that this is the thing that brings you joy, your profession is the one that brings you joy, and that innocence with which you discover new patterns and new creations, have you forgotten that, or in what did it only become about working because that's the field that you are in now, right? And then, of course, it is we cannot change anything through PLR therapy, but there are enough instances, and I'm hoping I can get into one or two of them. The next one is that the past life memories are experience that you experience is due to the suggestions of the therapist. So like you went through the experience of age regression, there wasn't anything that I told you. I just gave you an outline and the memories came up from your own side. Similarly, the same things happen when we do past life regression. When we go into the past lives, I will give you a broad structure, but the colors that you fill in will be from your own memory. The people that will come up will be from your own memory. The clothes that you would see yourself wearing and what is happening in that moment will be coming from your own memory. And one of the other ones is that a therapist does not need to believe in past lives and reincarnation to do past life regression or past life counseling work, which I would say that is a tricky one, because at times it might, if I'm a therapist and I work with you, if I do not believe in them, then I there is a chance that I might um, you know come back or take may not get into it, because I say I do believe it, but I'm not. It's more of my work. So somewhere there is no there isn't any congruence. So I would really I would really ask, what and how does the therapist work through the through the past life therapy work then. Okay. And when is a past life, when is a life regression useful? So what you saw today was a life regression. It was not necessarily about a past life, but it was about the current life. Okay. So it can help in overcoming unexplained traumas and memories. Some of the traumas, one of the trauma that one of my clients had was of this is a very common one, is of drowning. So she developed two things. One was the fear of water, because she was she drowned and somebody had pushed her. So it was not that she drowned on her own. So what happened was there was a fear of water. And the second thing was uh, a physical symptom of choking, because she couldn't breathe. So that came up in her current life, of being unable to breathe when she would get nervous, or when there would be a mistrust in a relationship, or when she would be in a in a closed environment. So so there were two physical symptoms of the trauma that came up because of that. To help overcome fears and phobias. There are people who have fear of spiders or fear of lizards that have been cured. So they may not fall in love and keep the lizards or the spiders as pets, but they will not run out of the house because there's a lizard in the house. So there have been changes to that extent with people who have these fears or phobias. It could also be a phobia of being abandoned, and or a fear of being abandoned, and that has also worked. When we do a past life regression therapy, there would have probably been a memory where either your parents had abandoned you, or you were left alone to work for yourself and for your family or your child, or your husband abandoned you. So there would be a abandonment that happened with them more than more than one lifetime, and that's where they developed a phobia. Or it could be that it was a very very deep relationship. You had you really loved your husband or your partner, and that person left you and did not, and there was no, and you were not in touch. It could also be between a parent and a child, where the child leaves the parent and does not come back, or there is no communication. So the fear of abandonment can also come from that. Uh, Life regression is also useful to improve relationships and understanding our patterns. There are different patterns, and all of if you were to just sit back and look at our, one of the most common things is the kind of people that we meet, and or the kind of friends that we have, or the kind of when we are working for ourselves, if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're working for somebody. What is the pattern of the clients that I get? What is the pattern of bosses that I get? That could also be related to the kind of pattern that I have developed in my life. Okay. And this is very useful to release energy blocks and speed up healing processes. I have worked with clients who had issue, or who had migraine issues. Migraine is so simple to cure through this therapy, but a lot of people still suffer from that. There are people I have worked with on Crohn's disease, and the person, within 3 sessions, the person changed their diet and got back to a regular diet. They got off medication once in 3 or 4 weeks. She had to go to the hospital for her medication, so she got over that. it was an energy block. So it was the Crohn's disease was came up because of an energy block that she had in her past life and in her current life. There have been I have clients who I have worked with who have issues with their liver and spleen, and that has speeded up their healing process. There are people with who had incessant cough or blockages in their, they would get choked very easily. It was not a trauma, but it was an energy block. So sometimes there might be one physical symptom, but one has to look at, is it an energy block or is it a trauma? Because there could be different. It could be different for different people. Okay. And again, this one I love because this is so helpful. A lot of the life between life work happens when we look at, we do life between life work when we're looking at life purpose and continuity of life and the fear of death. Okay, who's ready for the next experience, which we are going to do on relationship? Okay, so I am going to come back. And let's just get back. You know the drill now. Just sit back with your back. You can take the support of your back, take the support of the chair or the backrest this time so that you can relax. If you want to kind of lie down, you can do that as well. And let's just close down our eyes once again. And as we do that, we are going to go deeper into our relationship. I want you to take a deep breath in through the nose and let it go through your mouth as you relax. Take another deep breath in through your nose and out through the mouth with an audible sigh. And as you relax, we will start deeper into a state of relaxation. On the count from 10 to 1, we will move to that particular incident that has been the cause of the turmoil in your relationship, whether it is the relationship with your husband or your daughter. Moving into that now as you relax your body from the top of your head on 10. I want you to visualize a white light from the top of your head, relaxing your body as it flows down to your eyebrows and your eyes, just warming your eyes a little so that you relax deeper and going deeper and deeper on 9 and 8. Feel the flow of white light from the top of your head, moving to your face and your neck. And as that white light flows on 7 and 6, it relaxes your shoulders, your chest, relaxing your arms and your hands and your stomach and your whole back as you go deeper and deeper. On the count of 5 and 4, relaxing deeper through your thighs, and 3, relaxing, releasing all negativities from your mind. As you exhale out, you exhale all tensions, all stress, relaxing and feeling the white light moving from the top of your head through your back and pelvis to your legs and your feet, feeling the white light cocooning you completely. And with every inhalation, you breathe in a deeper state of relaxation that takes you to that lifetime where your relationship issues perhaps started. Going deeper on three, two, one, and zero. Moving into that memory and lifetime where your relationship caused issues. I want you to notice wherever you are, sinking your feet deep into the ground. There might be multiple images that come to your mind, just slowing them down. As you breathe out slowly, that particular image comes to your mind that will tell you the root cause of the relationship between your daughter and you, or your husband and you. And as you sink in deeper into the ground and you push your feet deeper into the ground, I want you to look down on your feet. Look at your feet. Notice what you're wearing. Are you barefoot? Or are you wearing sandals or shoes or some other kind of footwear? And as you notice that, sink your feet deep into the ground as you start taking steps, just taking one step ahead and another step and another step and another step. As you walk, you can feel the touch of your hands next to you, and you feel the clothes that you're wearing. Notice, what are the clothes? Are you a man or a woman? Are you a human or other living being? As you start walking, notice if you're wearing any jewelry. Are you wearing any headgear? As I count from three to one, you would notice what is it in that lifetime that occurred to create those relationship misunderstandings. Three, going to that particular incident in that lifetime. Two, and one. Notice what is happening around you. Who appears at this time? Is it another man or a woman? What relationship do you have with that person or that living being? Notice what was the reason of that friction. Notice what happened. I'll give you a few moments of silence to run through that incident and that lifetime when this happened. That is the root cause of some of the relationship misunderstandings that started happening. Without getting too involved in the scene, just notice from a distance. And as I bring you back to the room, I want you to slowly just let go of that lifetime, knowing whatever you did your best. There is a reason for that. You do not need to carry that burden or guilt anymore from that lifetime. And moving back slowly, give blessings to the person or the people or the living beings who are around you. Give your blessings to everyone as you slowly come back, letting go, letting go of the cause and the emotions, leaving all the emotions of that lifetime there, moving beyond them, knowing that you need not carry them in this lifetime, and coming back slowly as I count one down to five. You will be back here. One, slowly coming back. Two, feeling yourself in the room. Three, feeling the touch of that cushion below you, bringing some gentle movement back on four and five. As you come back, just gently opening your eyes, take a sip of water if you need to. Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, life regression, of course, it can be done for any particular age. It could be your childhood. It could also be at the time of gestational development or a previous life or future life as well. So yes, there are future progressions that we can do. And just as we end, I want to end with Louise Hay. And she says that I give myself permission to move out of the past with gratitude and into a joyous new day. So, what happens is that when we look at a past life, it is not for us to take back just the way that I shared with you and I took you through the journey. We leave the emotions, we leave the stories in that past life because we do not need to carry any of that. If there are lessons that we need to carry, we only take that to improve our decisions and our actions and our thoughts in this lifetime. But the rest, we leave it there. We do not need to bring it along with us. So, this is just about how uh, life regression work in relationship. There are different ways of doing it and removing. There is emotional delayering, there is ancestral healing as well. There is family constellation work when we have to work on more than two or three members of the family. We do family constellation work as well. So that was pretty much it. That brings me to the end of the regression session, the webinar on past life regression session. This was just a short introduction to it. And those of you who are watching later, do put in your questions and I can answer them on my Facebook page for you to know. And I'm going to stop the recording now and we will take the questions here. And thank you so much for watching, those of you who are watching later.